Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make chocolate gravy. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This chocolate gravy may sound a little bit strange if you're not from the South, but it's a rich chocolate. It's not quite a sauce, not quite a pudding, but it's commonly poured over fresh, warm biscuits, and I can't think of a better way to enjoy Sunday morning breakfast. Now, let's go ahead and head over to our stovetop where I'll show you how to make this. So you're going to want to grab a medium-sized saucepan, and we're going to add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar right in there. Now, I also like to use 1/4 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar in my chocolate gravy as well. This isn't exactly a traditional ingredient, but it just adds a nice extra depth of flavor, so I highly recommend using it. If you don't have any, just sub it with regular granulated sugar. Of course, we need our chocolate. You are going to need 1/4 cup of cocoa powder for this recipe. Now, you can use either natural unsweetened cocoa powder, which I think this is the most commonly used cocoa powder for this recipe, or you can use Dutch processed. I personally prefer the Dutch processed. The natural just has a more mild flavor. This just gives everything a darker, almost slightly more bitter chocolate flavor, so that's especially great if you like dark chocolate like I do. This is what I'm using today. Now we're also going to be adding 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, which is going to be our thickener, and I'm also going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now let's go ahead and whisk everything together until it's nicely combined, and that brown sugar that's in there, you're just going to want to stab it a bunch with your whisk and try to break up as many of those lumps as I can. All right, now while you're whisking, we can go ahead and add our milk. We're going to be adding 1.5 cups of whole milk, and I like to pour that in while I'm whisking. This just helps keep any lumps from forming. Now once everything is nice and smooth, we'll go ahead and we'll turn our stovetop heat to about medium heat. Whatever you do, don't crank up your heat to try to cook this faster. You'll end up ruining your gravy and it just won't thicken properly. Now, as I cook this over medium heat, I want to stir it pretty frequently, not constantly, but pretty often. As I stir it, it's going to eventually start to thicken. This usually takes at least 5 minutes, sometimes even closer to 10 minutes for me. You can see it's still pretty thin here, so we'll keep on whisking. Now you can feel it once it's started to thicken. It should begin to take on a more pudding-like consistency, and you can just kind of feel your whisk moving through it in a way that it wasn't before. All right, this is actually looking pretty good. Let me show you with a spoon how that looks. See, it's coating the back of the spoon, leaves a trail if I run my finger through it. So I want to take this off the heat now. Now I like to go ahead and stir in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're also going to be adding some butter, which just helps to enrich this gravy, gives it a nice silky texture and a nice rich mouthfeel. We're just going to add 1 tablespoon at a time, and we're going to whisk until that butter is completely melted before we add the next tablespoon. Now at this point, we are actually done making our gravy. You can pour it over your biscuits right now if you'd like, or you can wait a little bit. It'll start to thicken as it cools. You'll just want to make sure you stir it pretty frequently or periodically. That way a skin doesn't form on top. All right, let's go ahead and ladle this over a nice warm biscuit. And this is my award-winning, super popular biscuit recipe. I will leave a link to that in the description below because if you haven't tried it, you really need to. And that is how you make the best gravy of your life. I hope you guys enjoyed my chocolate gravy recipe, and if you tried this one out, I would love to know what you think, especially if you've never tried this before. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is incredible.